Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm outside Old Trafford and it's just starting to spit. It's spitting. Get him in. Lots of stories to get through this morning. Starting with Jadon Sancho. Now, do you remember that chap, Hans-Joachim Watzke, the CEO of Dortmund? Well, I thought once we signed Jadon Sancho, we wouldn't have to listen to him anymore because he was the guy that was always coming out with these statements, always sort of saying how Jadon Sancho wasn't going anywhere and all this other sort of stuff a couple of summers ago. Now, he's been talking again about Jadon Sancho, and he's been talking about the fact that he thinks that Jadon Sancho is a bit neglected. He says, of course I keep track of what he's doing. It also hurts my soul that he is so neglected. I love Jadon. When you see him play, you get tears in your eyes. I think his problem is that he's not settled in the English national team. So he's talking about Jadon Sancho now. He doesn't feel like he's settled. He doesn't feel, I mean, he says the English national team. There's been a few question marks about Jadon Sancho's early performances for Manchester United. Not by myself, but by a few other people. Now, I'm not particularly worried. It takes time to settle at a new club. He's a young lad. He's an immense talent. He's going to be fine. But there has been one or two people who are sort of going, oh, you know, is it worrying? Is it worrying about the fact that Jadon Sancho hasn't sort of set the world alight as soon as he's got it? He hasn't been banging in goals and assists. But like I said earlier, some players take time. Last season he had a bit of a slow start to the season. I don't even think he's been that bad. I think he's been improving as he goes along. I think people are just sort of looking at it and going, you know, we want more. We want goals and assists all the time or straight away. But he'll come good. He's a very good player. The signs are already there that he's fitting into this team. So I'm not too concerned. Unlike Stefan Effenberg, who's another one who's been talking about it. He's been saying that, you know, he wonders whether Erling Haaland would be happy to come to Manchester United because he sees that Jadon Sancho isn't happy. He says, as for Haaland's future and the speculation about a transfer, Borussia Dortmund are the perfect club for his development. He's told Sport Eins. I mean, they are the perfect club for his development, but we know he's going next summer, and Erling Haaland has been a long-term target for Manchester United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, so it wouldn't surprise me if he did end up here. I know there's going to be a lot of suitors for him, so we'll have to wait and see. But it seems like everyone's getting a little bit carried away on the old Jadon Sancho's start at Manchester United isn't good enough front. I think we all just need to calm down a little bit because, you know, it's early days and he's a very, very good player. On the midfielder front, which is a topic that everyone's talking about because I think everyone's sort of getting to the point where they're looking at it and going, we're not going to win anything unless we get our midfield sorted. I know it's a bit melodramatic to say we're not going to win anything when it's only September, but that's the way it's going at the minute with a lot of the opinions I'm seeing, especially on social media. There's a story in the Express that says United are in for Kalvin Phillips. We know that anyway. He's been a target of ours, and apparently Leeds United have named their price. It says Manchester United would have to pay 60 million if they wanted to sign Kalvin Phillips from bitter rivals Leeds United. Yeah, too right, eh? Don't get me started on them. According to reports, United are targeting a defensive midfielder in the upcoming transfer windows and have reportedly identified Phillips as the perfect man for the job. Now you look at it and you go, Leeds ain't going to sell us anyone. Well, we said that about Eric Cantona. We said that about Alan Smith. We said that about Rio Ferdinand. If the price is right, Leeds will sell their players, even to Manchester United, even though they all hate us and they all take the shoes off because they hate Man U. What's that all about? It says here now as well that Declan Rice was a target, been linked with us. But apparently, Manchester United, it says here Ed Woodward. I know Ed Woodward's not going to be around forever, but Ed Woodward was put off by the valuation of around £90 million for the England international. I had this in my story the other day, my transfer news the other day, Paper Talk and my transfer review, that United were looking at alternatives to Declan Rice. Declan Rice had been our long-term target as a defensive midfielder, but West Ham digging the reels in, they want around 90 million, some quotes even saying 100 million. It's a lot of money that for a player who's never actually played any Champions League football or been in a title challenge. I know he's a very, very good player, but yeah, 90 million for Declan Rice or 100 million even is ridiculous. So can't see that one happening. And it looks like Kalvin Phillips could be on our radar. Another player that's definitely on our radar is Marcus Rashford. He's been back in training now. He's been doing a bit of contact training, and we've been given a sort of time scale. He tweeted, "Happy Monday. I see the doctor on Friday for a consultation. All being well, I will get the green light." I think that's meant to say to join in with contact training. There's a bit of intrigue there. I went to the old Twitter front because I think he was corrected on his tweet, and then people saying he doesn't actually do all his own tweets. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, so he could be back in time for, I think the Leicester game is when he's been penciled in for, which is on the 16th of October. And a week after that, it's the Scousers. So I'm hoping that Marcus Rashford will be back for the Liverpool game, and it looks like it could be. And finally, Sir Alex Ferguson has been talking. He's been talking to Sam Homewood. Sam Homewood, who's a friend of the channel. He used to be on the channel, didn't he? Now he's doing bits for the club, and he's interviewed Sir Alex Ferguson. Just like me. He sat down with Sir Alex Ferguson, and Sir Alex Ferguson was talking about Wesley Sneijder. Now, I don't know if you remember, people over a certain age certainly will. We were linked with Wesley Sneijder for about 32 years. It seemed like every summer Wesley Sneijder was heading to Old Trafford. The amount of stories we had, that done deal, negotiations underway, terms agreed, all that sort of jazz went on with Wesley Sneijder when he was at Inter. He was meant to be coming to Manchester United. It went on for years, and apparently Sir Alex Ferguson said we weren't even in for him. So Alex said to Sam, he said, when you mentioned the boy Sneijder, that's come up a lot of times, but we were never interested in Sneijder. I don't know where that came from, but you get a lot of them every Sunday in the People. When I first came, they were throwing names in all the time, you know. Now, there's one player we were in for that we didn't get, and this is for fans of sort of my era. That was Paul Gascoigne. He speaks about Gascoigne, Fergie. I've heard him talk about him before, and he says, in reality, you have to say, the only one that always comes to mind, and that's Gascoigne. He was absolutely fantastic. I think if we had got him, he would have had a great career. I really do. I'm not saying he didn't have a good career, but he would have had a better career with us. We had Geordies in our squad like Robson, Bruce, plus Bobby Charlton was around. So Bobby would have been a fantastic mentor to him because he's such a fantastic man. And even Gary Pallister goes on to say, I know he's not a Geordie, he's from Middlesbrough, but he understands the culture. And then Fergie says he got a phone call from Martin Edwards, who was the chairman at the time, saying that Gazza had signed for Tottenham. He'd agreed to come here. Fergie went on holiday. And then while Fergie was on holiday, Gazza signed for Tottenham because Tottenham bought his mum and dad a house in London, and that's apparently what swayed him. People probably look at Gazza and see the sort of tragic figure he's become and think, oh, you know, but trust me, back in his day, he was a phenomenal player, and him and Brian Robson in this midfield would have been the best midfield on the planet, but it wasn't to be. And to be fair to Sir Alex Ferguson, kind of did okay without Gazza anyway, didn't he? So we don't need to dwell on that too much. That's been the Paper Talk. Don't forget to check out Paddock merch, paddockmerch.com. If you're not subscribing, hit the subscribe button. We're over 600, and I think we're on about 607,000 subscribers, something like that. So we want to get to 700k by the end of the season. I think it's doable, so give us a subscribe. Don't forget to check out all the other videos as well. We're looking towards the Villarreal game tomorrow. We'll also have the watch along and the fan cams from that game tomorrow night, obviously. I've been Jay Motti. This has been the Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.